All right, thank you there. I had some technical difficulties right out of the gate. That's always fun. But as John C. Maxwell liked to put it, is sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Well, that's just what happened there the last few minutes. I was learning that and all the wonderful stuff I've been doing to level up and make better videos, you can't have some of the gizmos and gear too close together, otherwise it'll throw off wireless connections. So that's what that was about. But anyways, I'm excited for anybody that wants to jump on the live stream today, answer your questions live, and get this party started. So what I'm doing now is I'm just pulling open another tab, being that I had to completely reset the connection a moment ago. And we'll go ahead and start going through some different questions here. Okay. So to get us started, there are some different questions that came up. There's a lot of really wonderful commentary coming up on this last week with different comments that came in on the channel. Um, Okay, so one of them came in just a few minutes ago, actually. JN Creative Videos. I don't know if JN is still with us on the channel right now. If so, and hops on the live stream, please let me know. By the way, my name is Andrew Finney with King Realty Group in Las Vegas. I am a full-time real estate agent, and my passion is to help you make sense of real estate. So if you have some questions during the live, please hit us up in chat. Please don't forget to throw those thumbs up. Let's please those YouTube gods and make them happy, and share it with somebody that you know it'll help. So JN says, thank you so much for making this video. He's referring to the closing costs for buyers, which you should know, and that he was brought to the channel was needing to know more about the topic since they are searching for a house to purchase. And they would like to know who pays the buyer's realtor. Is it the buyer or is it the seller? And thank you. So, Jan, in short, it is traditional that the seller is going to be paying both sides of the commission, both on the listing side and both on the buyer side, unless it was otherwise negotiated between you and your buyer's agent. Would you be seeing yourself paying for a portion or all of that commission? It is negotiable. It is one of those things to gain clarity about with buyer brokerage agreement, but it is something to know that more often than not, you're going to see the seller actually paying for the commission for your buyer's agent. It's a great question, by the way. Tommy Nguyen says, hello, Andrew. Tommy, thank you so much, my friend, for joining in. Greatly appreciated. Just out of curiosity, what do you think of those backlighting? I'm working on my lighting game. You guys know that I'm working on leveling up the studio, so to speak, and production and all that other stuff, in addition to great content. And again, brought to mind John C. Maxwell's comment, and also about self-reflection whenever John Maxwell likes to say, sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. There's been a whole lot of learning going on over here lately. And when you start thinking of the self-reflection side of everything, it's important to gain clarity. 2020 has been a crazy year for most of us. And we can all agree that it's affected the world, it's affected our lives, it's affected people we know. And unfortunately, I don't think many of us need to go very far to know just how close it hit the home with people that died or people that got sick of COVID, right? It's very, very sad. And why, Hori, thank you so much for being here and letting me know about the lighting's great. Let me know about the audio, still working on that as well, by the way. But where I'm going with this is we have to really dig a little bit deep and really start thinking about reflecting inwardly to help us grow. And when you start really thinking about John C. Maxwell's quote, sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. What are we learning? Because we never really lose if as long as we're learning. Obviously, if you win, that's great, but we need to learn from both the wins and also the losses, or some people say the losses. I don't think that you lose as long as you learn. So it's about being able to look back at 2020 and look back at our life and look back of the story that made us. Those of you that have watched me for a while now have probably heard me, and especially in the reality show, say that every life has a story. It really does. Like right now, this person in front of you on the live cam is doing the very best he can to try to deliver a great live stream, increase engagement with our growing tribe here on YouTube, and getting ready to keep growing and keep learning and keep making better videos and content to better assist you, not only in helping you make sense of real estate ideally, but even helping you to make sense of different portions of your life that would be helpful to you, right? So I'm bringing everything I got. But you're here with me right now hanging out. So right now, all this time and all this universal mojo out there are coalescing, and we're here now engaging through this medium called YouTube. And I think it's so powerful and it's so amazing. And we got to dig deeper and realize, hey, Tommy's here, Waihori's here, BC is here. I letting it BC is making some different comments. Thank you for that. BC's here. Other people are here. Other people are going to be joining. Some people are going to be going, right? Everybody's here on their journey right now in this moment. What I'd ask you to do is to think back at those pivotal times this last year that really, really challenged you, that really made you think, what am I doing personally, professionally, spiritually, mentally? What's my mindset like? And where do I need it to be to get to where I want to be? Did I achieve my goals that I wanted to achieve in 2020? How am I going to achieve my goals that I set for myself in 2021? This isn't like some kind of New Year's resolution speech. I'm not one for New Year's resolutions. I'm one for consistent progress and consistent implementation of what you're learning and growing and doing, right? So it's one of the things that I constantly do. And, I appreciate the support that you guys give me as part of the YouTube Drive. I love coming live stream. I wish we had like all kinds of crazy engagement and everything. But you know what? I value, even if there's only, one or two people on with me, I value that because we're connecting. And we're connecting in a real way. And as I keep working on like lights, I got one over here, got one over there, got the ones behind me. These are things that I'm learning, and I'm not perfect, and I'm not ashamed to share that with you because, as somebody that has created a lot of videos, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. I want to make better content, but it's not just where I'm at right now as a professional. I'm also doing full-time real estate agent. I'm looking at designing some stuff that better help consumers and other real estate agents out, and constantly, of course, upgrade and level up the videos that I'm making as well, in addition to improving on the live stream to give you more stuff on screen, like B-roll and stuff like that, to better help tie down the points, some downloadables and stuff like that that might be helpful to you. That's where my mind's at. So where is your mind at? What are you wanting to do when you self-reflect and you look back? Did you hit your goals? And if you didn't, what are the steps that you need to take to be able to make your goals next year and make your goals next week? Sometimes my friend Sean Cannell likes to always say it, or at least ways, Sean Cannell says it a lot. He probably got it from one of the 8 million books that he listens to. Sean's a great guy, by the way. Heather Torres, friends of mine over there at Think Media that I listen to and watch a lot to try to level up my YouTube game and make better content, by the way. If you're thinking of a channel, podcast, or something, I'd highly recommend them. Just look them up, Sean Cannell or Think Media on YouTube. You'll see who I'm talking about. So he has so many of these little different sayings, and that's one of the ways that I clued in on John C. Maxwell's comment. And the reason I bring them up is they're constantly challenging you. Level up 1%, 1%, 1%. It's not about being perfect. Done is better than perfect. And just doing it and putting yourself out there, you're going to help grow. So sometimes we got to remove that fear, that false evidence appearing real, and just take that step forward whenever other times it seems like, hey, why am I doing this, right? Gain clarity. Ask yourself some clarity questions. Ask yourself about your purpose in life. Ask yourself about your purpose of what you want to do and the reasons behind what you want to do. And ask yourself those questions to help you gain the insight. It's the same thing in real estate. I mean, these clarity questions are powerful when you start thinking about that. How long do I want to live in a house? What kind of house do I want? What's most important to me? What kind of lifestyle do I envision living? What do I need to do to reach my goal? Could be in real estate to sell a house, could be in real estate to buy a house, it could just be to invest in the real estate, right? But in life, we need to level up as a person, as a professional, and to give our heart and soul to other people, ideally in a way that spreads love, joy, and kindness and makes the world a little bit of a better place just for you being in it, one smile at a time. Just my thought. So BC, I'm curious about what you were saying here. So BC says for OEC title coverage, the title companies require a new boundary survey. Can the title company opt to grant an OEC coverage but with only an LLC? Will title companies ever do that but also still insure the OEC? CV has helped us reaffirm our values. Yeah, okay, cool. So BC, that's a really good question. The one thing that I'd ask you to do, because I'm not, honestly, I'm not a title insurance officer or title officer, escrow officer, any means. I'd ask you to just pick up the phone, give them a call, ask them those questions, and ask them what your options are in your situation. Doing so is going to be very helpful, and you'll find that they'll be able to hook you up with some great information there, and it'll guide you in getting your questions answered. Let us know how it turns out, since we are all stronger and better together than we are not. then just let us know. And then we can all know the answer to the question. So please let us know what you find out, BC. Why Hori says you are my professor on anything real estate. Thank you. Why Hori, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that, my friend. And I'm looking forward to helping you with even better content moving forward and leveling up this whole thing called YouTube studio, lighting, and all that fun stuff. I've been nerding out a lot. So when I'm not doing real estate, I'm over here cranking out some late nights and some very early mornings. Who else is like that, where you just wake up, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like, hey, I'm up, let me go ahead and get productive. Hit me up in the comments and let me know if that's you too, or am I just the only person that's out there like that? Tommy says, quick question. I just got an email from my lender saying my loan has been final approved by the underwriter. Does it mean we're in the final closing? Yes, Tommy, it does. And congratulations, my friend. I'm super excited for you. So if the lender is saying that you got final approval by the underwriter, that means you should not have any conditions that need to be cleared. And the next step in your process is actually getting what's called a clear to close, which means that you're closing. Today's Friday. It sounds like you'd probably be closing next week, my friend. So I want to tell you, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching the channel and letting us know. And we share and applaud in your success of what you got going. Speaking of applauding, let me see. Remember I told you guys last week about this Roadcaster thing? I can't help it. I'm such a nerd. It actually got some sounds in here. Let's see if we can get a clap or something. Let's see. Did it not work? Oh my goodness. Oh, well, I have to figure that out another time. I don't know if you can hear it. I can't hear it if you're hearing it. I don't know what I pushed, and if you heard it and I didn't. Hope I pushed the right one for Tommy's clap and a round of applause and excitement there, getting ready to close out a new home. So going back to over here, when I'm looking on the right-hand screen, I'm looking at some of these comments that come in. Oh, you can hear it. Okay. Well, BC, I hope it was a clap. I don't know which one I hit. Perhaps I should be hitting a few of those bad joke ones right now, but I have to figure that one out. But thank you for letting me know that. That's pretty cool. Obviously not too much of that stuff. But anyways, looking over here on the right-hand side with all these wonderful comments that came in, Kayla had made a comment yesterday that this deserves more views. Seriously, your videos and tips are extremely helpful. Great job. Kayla was checking out the homebuyer reality show with the Hernandez family, the home inspection, pass or fail, what first-time homebuyers need to know about home inspections. So it's pretty cool stuff. Tommy, you're saying, thank you, Andrew. We're closing on the 28th of this month. Rock on. I mean, right after Christmas and coming up in just 10 days. I'm super excited for you. What's the first thing, Tommy, that you're going to do when you get your home? What's the first step that you're going to take after you get those keys? I got to know. Let us know what you're thinking and what you're excited about in your new home. Okay, so Van Alex says, Van Alex had watched a video I put out quite some time ago about seller closing cost and said, which one is better, to pay cash or to finance? I'd love to hear from your opinions. Thank you. So that's a really good point. And if you are in a position that you can actually buy a home with cash or versus financing, then every day of the week, in a lot of cases, buying a home with cash is going to sound like it's going to make the most sense, right? And it potentially could. But if you're buying a house and it's $500,000 and you got $500,000 in the bank, let's say you got $700,000 in the bank, and you're only going to buy a $500,000 house, right? I say only, that's a very expensive home, but hey, for the purpose of this example, let's roll with it. Let's say they buy a $500,000 home. That means that their capital is now tied into a hard asset known as real estate. And to reliquidate that same $500,000, now they're going to have to put it back on the market and be able to pull it back out, right? So they could leverage their capital through financing if they got a good interest rate. And they could put that same $500,000 to use not only in real estate. Let's say they put $100,000 in the void PMI, private mortgage insurance. So they have what's called an 80% loan to value ratio, right? Essentially 20% equity in the property in this example. And that leaves them now, of their $700,000 in the bank, it leaves them $600,000. Now, where else can they make money with that? They could put some of it in the stock market. They can put some in their 401k. They can put some of their money in different mediums that they feel comfortable with. I mean, always got to weigh out the risk versus the return there, and always invest at your comfort level and do what makes sense and what's best for you in that situation. But in that case, Look, it's a hard one to call between cash and financing. Depends on how much money you got, and it depends on which one makes the most sense to you. And it goes back to those clarity questions again about how long you can live there, right? And what gives you peace of mind, and what gives you comfort and joy knowing that either your house is paid off free and clear, or that you have the ability to go back and reinvest and earn more money with the same money because you leveraged your money to begin with. Leveraging money can be very, very powerful into a long-term horizon done correctly over time. So that's Van Alex. I hope you're able to catch this live stream and get this part. I'll have to hit you up in the comment and just let you know I was dropping a shout out to you and essentially answering a question. I hope it's helpful to you, and I hope it's helpful to anyone else that's on the live stream. By the way, if you're just joining in, thank you for being here. My name is Andrew Finney with King Realty Group in Las Vegas. My passion is to help you make sense of real estate. While you're here, please go ahead and throw those thumbs up and drop us a comment, or simply subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in another video in addition to continuing this one. So Tommy says, I'm going to pull out all of the old school light switches and replace with a smart switch. That makes sense. That's really good to hear. And, just so you know, in the description there, Tommy, I've been working on, honestly, right? Full disclosure. It's the only way that I ever do anything transparently and full disclosure. I've been working on setting up an Amazon affiliate account, and I got that thing set up and I'm trying to figure it out. But long story short, people always ask me, Andrew, hey, what are those things that I really need as a homeowner? What are those products that you use in your own home? And I think it's a really good question. So I came across this other website called kit.co and started building up with Amazon affiliate links some different things that I personally use on my own home that I think could benefit you as well with those items that a homeowner needs. It's not an expensive list of things. Some of the stuff is so minor. In fact, you'd be like, really? I would never thought I needed that. Like a Velcro strap. Velcro straps come in extremely helpful to get all your cords dialed up. And if you can see the backside of this office right now, I got a lot of Velcro straps going on, and it's cable management. It keeps things tight, it keeps things clean, and it lets you know where everything's at. Just makes life a lot easier. But that's an example of something so minor to something bigger with the right kind of home security systems, to the right kind of lights, to the right kind of ladder, and even survival gear and stuff like that. Because if Mother Nature decides that she's going to dump on us or she's going to do something, we need to have an emergency prep kit. It's the only prudent thing to do. It's better to not need it and have it than to need it and not have it. You feel me? So it's one of those things. But just to let you know, it's in the description below if you want to check it out. Let's see. BC says, how many homes does the average person view before making an offer? Now, BC, I love that question. I really love that question. So I think that really is going to depend on a few different things. I think it's going to depend on the real estate agent that the buyer is working with. I think it also depends on how well educated and how quick the buyer is to actually start learning the process and dialing in, and how open-minded they are to working with somebody acting as their guide and as their advisor in purchasing a home, right? The reason I shared that is the more I've done real estate, the more families I've represented, the average buyer that I represent will look at, generally, to be honest, not more than 3 to 5 homes, and then make an offer, we close, and it's done. A lot of times we can narrow it down to the top 3 very, very quickly. We schedule that time to go take a peek at the properties, answer the questions they have, but it's because we're using the internet, we're using technology, we're using the knowledge that's in here that and the knowledge that they have to ask the right questions and listen to what they want in their home, so we can get sniper level focus because they have gained clarity into what they want. And when that happens, it's just like clockwork. It's a really, really awesome relationship. Case in point, what was it? A couple of weeks ago, I did a really fast impromptu live stream, or I thought it was live, but it really wasn't. But I was still filming it on YouTube, and then I later realized my mistake and put it out with Audra Shane closing our home. Look, she had watched for the first half of this year. She had shared with me she was watching the live streams, and she'd reached out to Bill Marion over with New American Funding to get her loan pre-approval. So she reached out to him. And the next thing I know, she's reaching out to me. Hey, Andrew, I've been watching YouTube videos. I think I'll probably be ready maybe in 4 to 6 months to buy a home. I was like, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and have a conversation and go from there, right? Well, come to find out, when she and I are talking the next day, Bill Marion gave her a loan pre-approval letter, right? we had this conversation about gaining crystal clear clarity and focus on what she wants and getting that sniper level focus on what meant the most to her and her new home for the reasons that were important to her, right? And what was so cool is the next thing that we did after we knew exactly how much we were working with in the bank was to figure out what her dollar got her. So essentially, we had a productive conversation for about half an hour and we made it happen. Sent her over a list of homes. Her day, she was able to take some time off the next day. We went and looked at 3 homes total, made an offer on one, and she closed the whole process in 28 days, which is actually pretty quick. So 28 days, start to finish, from first phone call with me to closing day when I gave her the keys, 28 days. So to answer your question, I really think it depends on the experience level of the agent, asking the right question, and the buyer's willingness. The buyers do have a responsibility here. The buyer's willingness to listen to their agent's advice and rely on them as a guide to help them and trust in them to make the right decision. And the way that you know that you're doing that is whenever you start Googling an agent and you're checking their online ratings, their reviews, their past sales performance, and you're reading what other families are saying about working with them, right? That's how you know if you have the right agent or not. I always say it, and I was saying it again to somebody earlier today. I said, what I find so like disgusting in a way is people will spend more time. I'm not saying this is you, of course, because you're here with me, but people will spend more time looking at Yelp about what they want to eat and what 5-star restaurants here or 3-star restaurant, what people said about the food. Was it hot? Was it cold? Was it okay? All of that fun stuff, right? They spend more time looking at that than they do with a person that's going to be able to help you purchase or sell a property that's worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in some cases, right? Have you ever thought about the lunacy of that situation where people spend, oh, okay, here's a bottle of water. Why Kirkland bottle of water? Why this? Why that? What's in this water? Right? But they don't take the same amount of time for something that's going to cost them hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Real estate done wrong can set you back, and real estate done right can set you up for success well into the future, right? So it's important to gain clarity on that. And it's very simple. We use Google every single day. We use everything anyways. Why not Google the name of the agent? Google me. I always tell people, Google me. I don't care. Andrew Finney, Las Vegas, Andrew Finney, Realtor. I don't care. Andrew Finney, YouTube. But the point is you're looking for those past sales performance, you're looking for those reviews, you're looking for those testimonials, and that's how you know that you have the right agent. And all of this, BC, actually goes into your question about the average person before they make an offer. Depends on the skill of the agent, depends on how open-minded the buyer is. I've worked with people all across the spectrum where this holds true, and coming up on right now I'm at like 183 career closings in around 7 years, and with another that take me up to 190 coming up in the first quarter of next year, families that are presently I'm working with that are in contract right now. So where I'm going with this is the math holds true. Average of 3 homes, no more than 5, make an offer. If it's 5 homes, they generally made 2 offers and we generally got beat on one, or something happened and we decided to recount that offer because we got a different house they really wanted, right? Even more. So I think that's a great question. Then I see you said, what is the fastest close I've ever seen on a cash deal? Another great question. So from personal experience, right? That's what I'm always going to rely on. You may have heard people do it faster or slower or whatever. But the fastest that I've ever helped a cash transaction, I've done it on 2 sides at the same speed. One as the listing agent and one as a buyer's agent. And both of those were 4 days start to finish. One of them was an HOA community. One of them was not an HOA community. I'll let you take a guess at which one was easier to pull off in 4 days. But we both pulled them off in 4 days. That's the fastest I've turned around cash. Maybe there's somebody that's done it in 2 or 3 days. I don't know if that's even possible. But the 4 days, it was everybody working with the right team, with the right people, and making it happen. And that is the quickest I've ever seen it. What's the fastest you've ever seen it, BC? I mean, or the fastest that you've ever heard it? I'd love to know. So let's see. Nathan says, we have a neighbor that has a tree. It's 3 feet from their house, which means it's 3 feet from your house. Okay. It is, Nathan, thank you. The second part over here, I recognize from a comment that you put up on a comment the other day. So thank you for joining on the live stream, my friend. It's great to have you with us. Nathan says it is a 25-foot mimosa tree that is damaging our fence and could cause us to have to move the HVAC system. He's not. He's a realtor, but hasn't dealt with the tree in 3 years. We are in a self-help state. It's the trunk that's damaging the fence and not the roots and branches. It's a good point. So whether it's the roots, branches, or even the trunk, it's be very, very common that the trunk actually just grows so wide and wide and wide, it starts to crack the foundation and things like that. So the other agent over there, you mentioned he's a real estate agent, right? He needs to take responsibility for the situation and make it right. And it wouldn't even matter if he wasn't a real estate agent. But because he is a real estate agent, he needs to know that he has a liability if that tree on his property causes damage to yours, be it structural, be it mechanical, be it something else. There's a situation. Keep in mind, I'm not an attorney or anything, but there's definitely a situation there that's brewing that would not be in his best interest to not address the situation. Now, Nathan, I'd ask you to simply go and talk with the gentleman or lady and figure that out and say, hey, look, it's starting to damage my property and I need you to remove this tree. Please let me know when you can have it removed and go from there. And if it presents an issue, then you said that your state is a self-help state. Well, self-help and call somebody out to remove the tree then and just make sure that you're talking to them about it. Maybe you guys split the cost on it. I mean, it sucks to split the cost on something that isn't your issue and it isn't per se your responsibility. Look, I've been there, Nathan. I got a neighbor that's right behind me. He had like 4 freaking pine trees back there, and I got a pool in my backyard. And I hate pine trees in residential, by the way. I hate it with a passion. I don't think those trees should exist anywhere but in Mother Nature off of residential properties. Who else is like that? I know somebody else hates pine trees like that. But that being said, the reason being is in my pool, all these pine needles were getting into my pool. I had to replace 2 pool pumps. I had to have the pool pipes themselves cleared and purged. And not to mention, I always got freaking pine in the pool. So I contacted the old boy and I said, hey, look, your trees, I'm trying to be a gentleman about this and a good neighbor. Your trees are causing damage to my property. I need you to take those down, or we're going to take this to another level, and I would prefer not to. So he said, well, here's the deal, Andrew. I really don't have the money. If I did, I would take them down. Um, I'm all for taking them down. So I said, okay. If that's the situation, how much money can you come up with to take them down? And I'll cover the rest of the cost. So that was the arrangement we worked. I said, but I'm also going to ask you to sign this document now. I had a document, notarized, all that fun stuff, stating that you're agreeing to take these trees down and you're agreeing to never put a tree back in those locations without consulting me. Make sure that it's not going to encumber the pool. Now, anything can be agreed upon so long as it's reasonable and so long as it's in writing and so long as there was no coercion or anything else, right? It's just a simple agreement. So you could do the same thing with the other gentleman. You could have a notary. It's very simple to get one and have them meet up, notarize a document, go on the legal Zoom or something like that, prepare the contract, prepare the agreement, and make it happen. It's just an example of something, again, that as a homeowner, I've dealt with and to make something happen to get rid of some trees that were causing damage. Hope that's helpful. Um, let's see. BC, nothing close to 4 days. Incredible. Getting inspectors and surveyors scheduled many schedule weeks out. Yeah. So that does definitely go back to the location here in the state of Nevada, BC. We are not what's called an attorney state. So we can knock out a lot of stuff just between the real estate agents, the loan officers, and the title company. And it's like, boom, right? So, I mean, that's the reason why in the case of both of those fast closing, I was able to ensure that it was with the preferred title company. Being people that I work with, you might have seen, again, going back to the Hernandez family reality show and even that of the Seller show with Connor Beck and Kelly. Katie Henry was on those videos with me. Katie Henry is a freaking rock star escrow agent that has a rock star team that works with her. So if I give Katie a call and I say, hey, Katie, I need to do this really quick. We just got this offer and they're looking to close in 4 days. We need a preliminary title report. We need this. We need statements of personal information. We need estimated settlement statements. We need all of this like last week and like we knew ahead of time, right? And she's like, okay, rock on, let's do it. And then she gets to work and she starts cranking and making everything happen on her side. I start cranking depending on what side of the house I'm on, whether it's the listing side and buying side, knocking out everything that needs to get done as rapidly as possible to fulfill that time frame and make everything happen. Now, if you're asking me, perhaps a different question is, you're asking me, Is it smart to close in that fast of a time frame? Depends. I mean, some people like everything now, 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 and they want to close that fast. In the case of those buyers and sellers in that situation where I represented them here in Vegas, that was their thing. I said, okay, as a buyer, please know that when you close this fast, you're going to be waiving essentially this contingency, this contingency, this contingency, this contingency. I just want to make sure that you're well informed and making an educated decision, or we could just slow it down a little bit to maybe 10 or 14 days and still retain all of those nice little things to have in a contract called contingencies, right? In the case of the specific buyers and the seller that I'm referencing, it wasn't their case. They didn't care. They just wanted to get it done. So, okay, cool. Sign here, sign here, sign here. And we did it. So we can definitely do it. And when you have the right team, they could probably get inspectors over there and surveys over there pretty quick. It just depends on working relationships with people and everything, of course. But then again, sometimes I know it's just the flow that people go, right? They just flow and they go. Emperador Lopez says, just joined from Austin, Texas. Emperador, thank you so much for joining us from Austin, Texas. How's everything over there? Definitely sending you guys positive mojo. And what would it be? Austin would be about 5 p.m., right? 5 p.m. I'm at Pacific time. You guys would be about 5 p.m. Yeah. So, thank you so much for joining in. It's great to have you with us. And if you're just joining in again, thank you. My name is Andrew Finney with King Realty Group. I am a full-time practicing agent here in Las Vegas. If you know of somebody I can help in Vegas, even if you don't live here, just hit me up. Let me know. I'm happy to do what I can to help out. At the end of the day, everyone, if you're new here, my passion is to help you make sense of real estate. So let's take a look at another question. There were so many wonderful things coming up. Okay. Oh, this one was fun. So this is also one of those fun screen names, right? So it's like J887276. Yesterday it says, Andrew, my property value and taxes keep going up every year. What is this based on? If I make the street view of my home and yard look bad, will my value and taxes go down? Thank you. It's a great question, and it was kind of funny on the second part. But hey, it's only funny because I'm looking at it. My value and taxes go down if you make pictures of your home and yard look bad. No, you don't want to do that. But at the end of the day, saying the property value and taxes go up. Why? Because if your property value is going up, it's generally a sign that your home is appreciating in value, and this is a good thing overall. But the dark side, I guess, of home appreciation is that as your county or city, however it's done in your area every fiscal year, like here in Las Vegas, our fiscal year is July to July with the county. If they reassess our property tax and say, hey, guess what, Andrew, your property's worth more. And oh, by the way, property taxes happen to be ascribed at a percent. And as your value goes up, you're going to pay more in property taxes, which has been happening obviously over the last several years. And the same thing that they're referencing there. That's why their property taxes are going up. It's because their home that they're living in is appreciating in value. And this is a good thing. So thinking that if you make the street view of your house or yard look bad, will they go down? No, not at all. It has nothing to do with the valuation or the algorithms that they're using in your city and state for the way that they determine property value. It is some very interesting math if you go on their sites and start looking at it. That said, keep your house looking good. Just be happy and be appreciative and have an attitude of gratitude in the position that your home is appreciating in value, and that when you see that increased tax bill, that it's because your home is now worth more money. It's actually a good thing. I know taxes suck, but at the end of the day, that's a tax that normally shows you that your house is on the right direction in value. Uh, Priscilla left me a comment yesterday too that I just thought was funny. She was taking a watch of 4 ways of how to talk about money with your partner, and she said, "There's 4 ways to talk about marriage from the first day all the way through marriage. Money." I think she's got it right, and it was pretty funny. Made me laugh. Hopefully, it give you a good chuckle too. Okay, so now this one was another one. And by the way, before I continue on this one, let me ask you something. If you caught that little real estate minute in essentially less than 60 seconds the other day, answering a subscriber's question very specifically in vertical format, so that if you're on your mobile device, it kind of play like it was on IG or on Facebook or TikTok or something, let me know what you thought of that video. Because whenever I get some of these questions that I know I can answer in like less than a minute, and I think it'll be helpful to people, I was thinking of doing that maybe here and there, and just changing up the pace of the videos from not only like longer live streams where we hang out and we chill and we have a good time together, but also just to really short fire, quick, very specific answers to questions. In the case of Tiana Potter, who we're going to be answering her question next here, I just wanted to know, because this question was one of those that I was thinking about doing that too. So if you caught that, 60 seconds, and if you haven't caught it, please go back and check it out. Throw those thumbs up, those likes, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Right? Same goes for everybody that's just joining us. Right? By the way, please let's please those YouTube gods together by hitting those like buttons and subscriptions and stuff like that. But anyways, Tiana said, what would you say for someone who's looking into a HELOC? A HELOC, everybody, is a home equity line of credit to install solar panels in a house. And then her logic behind that question was that way they can eliminate the electric bill. And also from day one, their panels will add like 2 to 4,000 of positive equity. So it sounds like a good idea. Might be a good idea. So using a home equity line of credit. Now, I made a video about a home equity line of credit. If you'd like to go a lot deeper than that, go ahead and hit up that video. But with a home equity line of credit, it's almost like using your equity in your house like a credit card per se, right? You're going to be paying interest on it. So if they buy the solar panels, depending on the cost of panels, depending on the production value of those panels, would depend on how much of their electric bill they're realistically able to alleviate. Then we got to take a look. Let's say the average utility bill is $100 a month, right? Where they're living, right? Just easy math. And let's say those panels cost $10,000 in total to have installed up front. Well, if that's the case, then how many years do we need to add up? $100 a month, so every year is $1,200. How many years do we have to go before we hit our return on our investment, or essentially our break-even point before we can even get to the return on investment, right? Think about that for a minute. 1,200 times what? 8-ish, 9, right? We'll come up to that $10,000 number. Well, if it took 9 years to hit your break-even point and you're taking out 10K now and you're going to be paying, let's say, a 4% interest on that, how much did that cost you now? So you got to look at that math logically and break it apart in those ways to really understand and gain clarity on your financial maneuvers and what's right for you. Now, I am a proponent of solar panels, frankly. I think it's great. I think it's good for the environment. I think it's great. Overall, drops the electric bill. It's a win-win-win-win. So long as those prices are right, because some of those prices are like insanely high, right? But to say that the solar panels will add like $2,000 to $4,000 of positive equity, if all the solar panels added was $2,000 to $4,000 of equity and it was enough to drop your entire electric bill, then something doesn't sound right. Those panels are going to be a lot more expensive than $2,000 to $4,000. Do solar panels add to property value? They can, and the answer in short is yes, if they're owned outright. I had a gentleman hit me up on YouTube, texted me the other day. He's a solar consultant here in town, was asking me some questions about how that works on buying and selling side, so he knew how to better educate his clients. And I was sharing with them, look, if you have an owned solar panel outright, it's going to add a value to the property. If they're leased or they're on what's called a PPA, like a power purchase agreement, it's not going to add value to the property. In fact, it could be a turnoff to some buyers that have very high debt to income ratios. Maybe they can't qualify for the panels, right? So there's all of those considerations that you take into consideration there. So I think it's a really good point that Tiana Potter makes. And my version of answering that in less than 60 seconds in a real estate minute essentially was, hey, it can be a good idea. It just depends on why you want to put it on it, how long you're going to live in the house, and break out the math for your break-even point. That's essentially the answer to the question pretty quick. And by the way, don't be fooled that it could potentially add to your property value. It just depends on where you live. Let's see. Richard Urena says, love the green screen. So Richard, awesome. Glad that you like it. So this is actually not a green screen, my friend. This is one of my nerdy things that I've been doing. I actually just got these bad boys in the other day. Let me see, maybe turn over to the I can't turn over wide enough. I got this wire behind my head. Those are actually, I don't know how to say it correctly. It's like Hagibis. I don't know. Anyways, they're really cool LED lights, hella powerful, and gives that a little illusion. And the reason I wanted them is you might be noticing, like from a visual standpoint, it makes it look a lot deeper. So it's not a green screen. I can turn them red, I can turn them blue, I can turn them yellow, I can turn them every color of the rainbow, I can make them strobe, I can make them give lightning effects. Really cool stuff. But for the purpose of coming live, it's the first time I tried it like this, and I thought, what the heck? I'm one of those things, learning and growing, and thought I'd share it and let you guys know where I'm at and my desire to continually to level shift and get 1% better at a time and make better videos, not only from a content value, but also production value to make it more engaging so we can help our YouTube home tribe grow. So that's the goal. So thank you so much, Richard. Glad that you said that, because the wall behind me, by the way, is not white. It's actually more of a honey-ish beige color, but you wouldn't know looking with those bright lights behind me. It also is to these other two lights that are over here. The key light that I intended to be here was a little too bright, so still working on figuring out lighting. But anyways, I digress. I'm glad that you liked it in short, but I can turn it any color. I just use green because one of my favorite colors, and it's a color that I use a lot in my marketing and branding. So, Emprendedor Lopez says, Andrew, what is your opinion on infinite return? I just found an off market lead for a 42 unit complex, but haven't done a commercial deal yet. Do you have any advice on infinite return? To be honest with you, Emprendedor, I have never heard of an infinite return. I wish that I could answer your question, but that is something I'm going to have to jot a note down and learn more about. Have never heard of an infinite return. Be interesting to define what is infinite upon infinite, because the sheer definition means limitless, right? So if it's an infinite return, how much? How long? Because I guarantee you anything in life, 42 unit complex gonna need some work and it may return, but how much money are you gonna have to put back into it? If you haven't done a commercial deal yet, then what I would share with you is to find someone in your brokerage that has experience with commercial property and see if you guys could work together, split the commissions, whatever you guys agreed to, but essentially learn the process, because obviously it is different than residential and it is different than land. So make sure that you're working with somebody that's skilled and knowledgeable in commercial. Maybe it's your broker, maybe it's someone else you know, maybe it's even somebody outside of the brokerage that's willing to assist you on that. Work with them, learn the process, and if you decide commercial is like your thing, then go get that CCIM designation and license to learn even more about commercial real estate. Nicoletta. Now, Miss Nicoletta says, hello, Andrew. Thanks for your videos. I love the background. So Nicoletta is one of our wonderful tribe. She's been watching the videos for quite some time and was on almost every single live stream early this year. You know, when we went into lockdown and everybody was freaking out about what was happening in the market and in life and what's going on, and we're just a lot more calm and probably like so over this COVID-19 thing, but still being very smart and safe. Hopefully, I know that a lot of us are, to tamp down the impact of COVID-19 as much as possible. Point that I'm making is that's when Nicoletta started watching the channel a lot. And she reached out to me and asked me for help finding an agent where she was going to be purchasing. And we did that. Nicoletta and her husband Keegan have also closed on their new home. And Nicoletta had reached out to me earlier today just to say hey and check in, wish Merry Christmas and stuff. And I gave her a jingle back and we enjoyed a wonderful, wonderful conversation. So she's just one example of how wonderful our tribe is and how positive and upbeat we are, and why we need to grow our channel together and get the goodness, the love, and the joy and the hope to the world, as many people as we can, just by sharing. You know, sharing is caring, and one smile at a time, we can make the world a better place. Helping people openly, transparently, and helping them grow, not only in answering real estate questions, but ideally some things in life, and helping them just click and come together. That's what this is about. We can do this together, but it takes us pleasing the YouTube gods for YouTube to do it. And how do we please the YouTube gods? We smash the thumbs up. We share the videos on our social. We watch the entire video. You know, we leave a comment in the comment section. That's how we do this. And it's really that cut and dry. And we just need to do it more. And the other way we do this is doing it openly, honestly, and by not losing our soul in the process. And the only way we can do that is just to always be honest and speak with integrity, and to cause no harm to anyone. So BC says, paying for an appraisal on a cash deal seems almost like a waste of money. Even the best appraiser can only create an appraisal that's relevant for today's market. That's true. Even the best appraiser, that's all they ever do. They essentially take a snapshot in time of a property's valuation, and they share their opinion, very educated one, on what the valuation of a property is as of today's dollar. So it is a very good thing. So when you say an appraisal on a cash deal, hey, some people want it just to validate that the amount of money that they're getting ready to spend in cash was the right amount and that it was a good deal. Some people like the added layer of protection or the added layer of thought, but and it just depends on the cash deal. I've seen cash deals that are longer than the one you were asking about earlier actually have an appraisal contingency inside of it, not for the purpose of the financing, but for the purpose of the cash. And they were willing to pay the appraised value for the cash. And that was it. And if it came in low, it came in high, whatever. If it came in high, obviously they weren't going to pay that, but they would pay it to the contract price. But the point that I'm making is they wanted to make sure it didn't come in low. So they'd asked me for robust comparative market analysis and stuff. I gave it to them. I shared with them what was going on. They ended up not hiring an appraiser. They appreciated the comps that I provided, but I am not an appraiser. But I have also heard of other people hiring an appraiser just to justify the amount of money they're getting ready to pay in cash. So BC says, if solar panels are not owned outright, the seller cannot transfer the loan to the buyer. Yes? No. No. But great question, BC. So the seller can transfer the solar to the new buyer. And that is typically what happens with solar transfers and PPAs or power purchase agreements, right? I've only made a few videos, I think 3 or 4 on this topic. And it's a very important, the first one of which I think goes back a couple of years ago, when people were starting to see more and more of these homes come on the market with solar panels that were leased. And what happens is that lease runs with the property. The lease does not run with the seller. The lease runs with the property. So if a buyer wants to buy a property that has leased solar panels on it, the buyer also has to assume that as part of the property since it runs with the property. So if the monthly contract is like $100 a month for the panels to be paid off since they're financed, right? That's what they have to do. And because it would be considered a recurring debt from a lender's point of view, they also have to qualify for the additional $100 into their monthly debt to income ratios to qualify for the home loan. So that's why I said earlier on, sometimes if a buyer has some really tight debt to income ratios, it can actually throw the deal. That's not the case of a lot of people, but at the same time, it does happen. And it's one of those things as a seller they need to be aware of. If they were thinking, hey, you know what, if I add panels to my house, then I'm going to be able to sell my house for more, but I'm not going to pay cash on it because I'm getting ready to sell. So I'm going to lease it. Nope, nope, not going to add value to the property. How can something leased add value to the property? Just think about that for a moment. How it's not paid free and clear. So how is it going to add value to the property? It's just not how it works when it comes to solar panels. So they had to have to be owned outright. So the case in point is the buyer that purchased a home with solar panels on it will be assuming that, and they will also need to qualify. And then the let's say it's Tesla solar or something like that, since Tesla seems to be all over the place right now in people's minds with everything they got going on. But let's say that Tesla solar panels were what it was. Well, Tesla's going to want a copy of their credit score, of the buyer's credit score, to make sure that they're also a good risk, essentially, for paying off that loan on the solar panels. Now, the truth is in the pudding on this one. It's kind of funny to me that they do that. I understand why they do that. The reason being is by sheer virtue of being able to qualify for a home loan, you've already got some good credit in many, many cases, at least a 620, 640 ideally, and you're already going to be able to qualify for a panel. I mean, the realistic thing is the debt to income ratio on the backside. Can you qualify for the additional X number of dollars that is outgoing to the solar company? So it's a very, very good question. In those videos, I cut and dried it, gave a lot of really direct points along with helpful links if you want to go back and check them out, PC. Emprendedora Lopez says, so basically you buy a complex, you rehab, refinance, and repeat. It's a good debt. Oh, okay. Emprendedora Lopez then says, look it up when with Ken McElroy. He's the Rich Dad, Poor Dad crew. Yeah, so I was watching Ken McElroy's video about the housing market predictions as well. I've been tardy to the party with releasing mine, and Nicoletta reminded me earlier today that I need to go ahead and do that. One of the reasons why I wanted to come live now with some of the lighting setup and see what you guys thought about it, along with the audio quality, because obviously the studio slash home office thing is very much in flux right now, and I do need to release some videos. So with that said, I did watch some of the stuff. I thought he made some really good points. I definitely have a difference of opinion on some of the matters, but I did like a lot of his different points he made. I checked out some of his other content. He has some good ideas, good notions out there. It comes down to more or less practical application, and does it work for people that are actually doing it in practice? I think that he, again, nothing against Ken whatsoever. I think his content I really liked. what I watched, and I thought it was extremely well researched in a lot of cases. But that being said, when you start talking about basically you can buy a complex it, you rehab it, refinance it, and repeat, it's a good debt. Well, depending on how many times you do that, it's going to become a bad debt. Depending on what happens from a rentability standpoint and what the going rent goes for in that area, could become a bad debt because it can be a liability to you into the future if you can't rent out the units. What happens when you're talking about rehab, refinance? Okay, do you have the cash position to be able to rehab it? Oh, refinance it, re-leverage the money. We were talking about leveraging money earlier in this conversation whenever BC was asking about, or I was answering the question about buying a house cash versus a finance, right? So when you start talking about refinance, 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 well, okay, so if you keep pulling out and re-leveraging, if you leverage too aggressively, you're going to sink the ship because it's only a matter of time, just like a 2008, right? God forbid, hopefully none of us ever see that or experience that again ever in our own lifetime. But there's always market corrections. There's always fluctuations to real estate. I think a next big fluctuation in real estate is probably on the horizon 7 to 10 years into the future. And you might be wondering, how are you thinking 7 to 10 years in the future? It's easy. Look at the age of our population. Look at generations. What was the last major generation before the newest of generations? The baby boomers. Unfortunately, it might sound morbid, it might sound whatever, but it's true. Baby boomers are getting older, and with old age, unfortunately, we as humans die. So when that happens, and they hold about 11 million homes across these United States out of an estimated 174 million single-family residences in these United States, that's pretty staggering because you're close to 10%. You're about 7.5, 8%. Well, what happens if you had a million of them pass away in a year, and you have now a million homes that just came on the market? And let's say the market was only used to selling nationwide 6 million homes in a year, and now it has 7 million homes to contend with. It's going to drop values. So if it dropped the values, what does that do to your rent? It drops your rent. If it drops your rent and you over leverage too hardcore, now you're upside down on your rents. Was it a good debt then? Just a thought. So you have to play the game smart. You're absolutely right. When you said that, Emperador, I saw that. Yeah, you have to play the game smart. Yeah, don't be too greedy. That's the same thing that people thought in 2008. Oh, the market's going up. It's never going to go down. Well, evidently they don't remember the story of Chicken Little running around thinking that the sky was falling down, and that's a little bit of a different story. But gravity, right? What goes up must come down. What goes down must go up. So eventually it will happen, right? Gravity, essentially, what goes up must come down. But in reality of markets and stuff, what goes down will go back up with time. So you got to be smart in how you leverage things and smart about the way that you approach things to make sure that you're doing things that are well informed. Number one. Number two, for the reasons that I'm pointing to. Number three, that you're educating yourself in the process. And number four, you're not stretching yourself for the wrong reasons. People stretched themselves in 2008. They had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 homes, and they're like speculating in the market. What ended up happening when the markets went down across the board, not just real estate, but all the markets were going down across the board? They got left and they got hurt, and it ended up tanking our economy along with it. And it took a lot longer for us to dig our way out of it. So there's no need to be greedy. Being greedy will make you needy. If we want to try to have a little bit of a rhyme there, greedy makes you needy. So we want to make sure that we're doing things smart, consistently. We don't lose our soul in the process, and we're leveraging ourselves appropriately in the right ways. And once we nail it, then we can scale it in Predadora. Look at your first project. Maybe it's not a 42 unit project. Maybe it's a 4 unit project. Maybe it's an 8 unit project, right? Nail it and then scale it. Rinse and repeat your success once you have the first step done. As I was sharing with Nicoletta, she and I were chatting. She's giving me some wonderful ideas earlier today, and she's so full of wonderful ideas, by the way. And Nicoletta, greatly appreciate you for those, and the inspiration and positivity that you share with me. So she and I were talking. I said, Nicoletta, at some point you got to focus, and talking about me more or less focusing on, the lights. Last week I was playing with the audio. Today I'm playing with the lights and the audio, right? Tomorrow I'll be doing something else. Next week I'll be doing something else. But the point that I'm making is focus. And what is focus really? Just like fear is an acronym. I love acronyms, so there's going to be a lot of them. I love them, a lot of them. There's another rhyme. I guess I'm rhyming today. But anyways, focus. What is focus an acronym for? It's to follow one course until successful. So when I say nail it and then scale it, Emperor Dora, I'm talking about following one course until you're successful. So before you try to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units, and you got these big, beautiful dreams about how you're going to become like Ken McElroy's position tomorrow or in the next 5, 10 years, right? Is it possible? Sure. But he didn't get there by being silly. He got there by playing the game smart. So if you're going to learn from him and you're going to purchase his courses, you're going to be soaking in what he teaches. Please play this game smart, because Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki version was, let me get 800 credit cards and let me leverage them all out, right? Dave Ramsey, on the other hand, and me along with Dave in that case, would freak out. What are you doing leveraging and paying for all of that money? Think about what you're doing before you do it, and make sure that you can afford what you have, and make sure you cover your baseline, and make sure that you are following one course until it's successful. Nail it, then scale it. Focus, focus, focus. So if somebody did wonder, on the onset of this, I was sharing about John C. Maxwell. Sometimes we win and sometimes we learn, right? Talking about sometimes we win, sometimes we learn, and being reminded of a lot of different life lessons this last year and different things we're going through and the wonderful conversations. Now I'm over here looking randomly over here at a big old whiteboard. I got it's like 6 feet, 6 feet by 4 feet, kind of big. But anyways, I write things down. I hear things, and I have a conversation with somebody. I'll bust out a market, right? And I was thinking about 2021 again, going back to my friends over at Think Media, in this case Heather Torres. I was watching her the other day, and she was saying, why not make 2021, I will until XYZ happens. I will until, about setting your goals, about your business, about your personal life, about your spirituality, about your physicality, about all of that. I will until, I will keep going until I hit this point, and then I'll keep growing from there, right? And I wrote down the two things that 2021 for me is about: focus, and it's about intention, and about being intentional and focused in everything I do. So essentially just two driving words: focus plus intention. So what you're going to see out of me in 2021 in videos and improving on the live streams is focus and attention. I want to drive these live streams a lot differently, but part of what I got to do is to focus on how to, number one, set up the studio better. Number two, the software involved with it. And number three, how to integrate everything so that when we go live, I can give you the best performance, the best value, the best education that I can possibly present to you at that moment in time in a very real and meaningful way, along with helpful information that's going to be popping up on the screen, available for download and stuff like that to help you grow on your journey. And the only way I can really, really dive even deeper into that is to better understand what you want to see me create, whether it's more real estate content. Great. The channel became successful because of real estate content. So of course I'm going to keep cranking out real estate content. But at the same time, I've had other people ask me, Andrew, can you talk about your life experience? Andrew, can you talk about personal growth, professional growth? Can you, talk about financials and money and stuff like that? Yeah, I can. And I'm happy to do so if that's what you want from me as a creator. And the only way I know how to really, really connect with you is to drive as many people as possible, ideally, onto the live streams and have the conversation at large and see what you guys want me to create, because that's what I'm doing here. I am making these videos for you. I am making these videos to engage with you, and I care about you. I truly, truly care about you. So I want to make sure that I'm doing what you want me to do. Let's see, BC. Those bedrooms have those poor windows and basements. Can they legitimately be considered a bedroom? These sellers calling these legit bedrooms. Depends on what what's required in your state there, BC. If those bedrooms are, no matter how poor they are in the basements and everything else, and if it's considered a bedroom in your state, because some states actually have a difference of opinion of what constitutes a bedroom. Like here in Vegas, you got to have a window, you got to have access to a hallway, and you got to have a closet. Three defining definitions of what constitutes a bedroom. If a room has a window and it goes into the closet, it's not a bedroom, it's a den, right? It's got to be fully enclosed with its own door. So in the case of a bedroom having even a small window, right? As long as you could get out of the window, I suppose, or open the window, it could technically qualify, but then you need to make sure that you gain clarity into your state and see if there's any size dimensions or anything else like that that are required. I'm not aware of any size dimensions here in Vegas. I could be wrong about that, but I'm not aware of any size dimensions, just what is considered a normal standard window. Emperador Lopez says, still awesome advice. Appreciate it. Awesome. Glad to help out. BC said, avoid squirrel decisions. Yep. You're absolutely right. So, we've been streaming for a bit. Obviously, we're getting ready to come up on Christmas next week. And, whether you celebrate Christmas, you celebrate Hanukkah, you celebrate Ramadan, you celebrate whatever you want, holiday wise and everything, I just want to wish you for whatever holiday that you're celebrating the very best and to enjoy time with your loved ones if possible. Please be safe, please be smart. And, just know that from my home to yours, I'm wishing you all the best and that there's much love here going to you. And I greatly respect the fact that you hung out with me for a bit today. And I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. So I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. I hope you guys enjoy a wonderful weekend. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please go out there and be the reason someone smiles today. Thanks.